You know, when a really critical vulnerability drops, a clock starts ticking. For React2Shell, that clock wasn't measured in days or even weeks. It was measured in hours. That's how fast attackers were already inside the gates. So today, we're going to dissect this thing piece by piece and really understand the anatomy of what is basically a perfect digital weapon.
So, first things first, just how bad is it? Well, this slide pretty much says it all. A perfect 10.0 on the CVSS 3.x severity scale. In the world of cybersecurity, that is the absolute highest danger rating you can get. It basically means the vulnerability is super easy to exploit, you don't need to trick a user into clicking anything, and it gives an attacker complete and total control of the system. It's the trifecta of bad.
Okay, so what exactly is CVE-2025-55182, also known as React2Shell? It's a massive flaw in React server components. Now, the two key phrases you need to remember here are unauthenticated RCE. Unauthenticated means an attacker doesn't need a username, doesn't need a password, nothing. And RCE, or remote code execution, means they can send a single, specially crafted request to a server and, bam, run any command they want. They effectively own the machine.
As you can probably guess, with a vulnerability this juicy, the moment it was disclosed, it was just pure chaos. This wasn't some slow burn. No, this was an immediate, worldwide free-for-all, with everyone from script kiddies to nation-states jumping in. And what's really fascinating is this initial fog of war that just descended on the security community. The internet was immediately flooded with exploits that, well, they didn't even work. We saw AI-generated fake code, like this EJ-Peer repo on GitHub, which actually fooled some people at first. And to make things even crazier, some of these fake exploits had malware baked into them, specifically designed to infect the security researchers trying to figure it all out. It was an absolute mess.
But cutting through all that noise with a really sophisticated players. So now we're going to move into our first case file, the nation-state espionage groups. These guys used React2Shell not for chaos, but for very calculated, very stealthy intrusions.
First up, let's talk about a threat cluster we're calling UNC 6600. Their goal wasn't to just smash and grab data, oh no. Their mission was to establish a secret, persistent doorway right into their target's network. And their tool for the job, a payload called the Minocat Tunneler, which is designed specifically for that kind of long-term sneaky access.
And this right here shows you just how they operate. After they exploit the bug, they create a hidden directory to stash their tools, out of sight, out of mind. Then they kill a legitimate process like the network time client just to reduce any noise that might get them noticed. From there, they download their tunneler, and this is the crucial part, they hook it into the system everywhere they can. Cron jobs, systemd services, shell configs. This makes sure their malware runs pretty much no matter what happens.
All right, next case, UNC 6586. Another suspected espionage group, but with a slightly different playbook. Their initial payload was something called Snowlight. But here's the thing. Snowlight isn't the final weapon. It's just a downloader. The first stage tool designed to pull in the real malware, a multi-platform backdoor called V-Shell.
And look at this. This is the actual command they used to kick the whole thing off. A simple curl command to a domain that is so cleverly disguised to look legit, reactcdn.windowserrorapis.com. I mean, that could easily fly under the radar, but that one little line is all it takes for them to call home to their command and control server and pull down the next stage of the attack. It's just ruthlessly efficient.
Our third case file involves UNC 6588. This group deployed a backdoor known as Compood, which has some pretty strong historical links to China-nexus espionage campaigns. And their goal, once again, seems to be long-term access and control over the compromised system. And check out the simple but really effective tradecraft here. They use wget to download their payload from a raw IP address, but they name the output file vim, like the common text editor, and they save it to the temporary directory. Then they execute it. So if an administrator is just quickly glancing at a process list, they might see vim running and think, oh, that's normal, and just scroll right past it. It's all about hiding in plain sight.
Okay, for our final espionage case, let's look at UNC 6595. This group introduces a whole new level of sophistication. While the others were focused on getting in and staying in, this group was also heavily focused on cleaning up their mess. Their payload, angryrebel.linux, is all about anti-forensics, actively erasing their own tracks to trip up any investigators.
Their methods for hiding are just a masterclass in evasion. First, they masquerade their malware as the SSH daemon, SSHD, which is a critical system process nobody would ever want to kill. Then, they use a technique called time stomping to change the file's creation and modification dates to match other system files, making it blend in perfectly. And, to top it off, they run history-c, which completely wipes their command history, making it incredibly difficult for anyone to figure out what they did.
So this slide is the perfect pivot point. On one side, you have the espionage actors we just talked about. Their goal is long-term access using stealthy, custom-built tools. On the other side, you have a totally different animal with a completely different motivation: fast cash. Their methods are noisy, their goal is immediate profit, and believe me, they are just as dangerous, just in a different way.
Which brings us to our next set of case files, the financially motivated attackers. These folks saw React2Shell not as a key to a kingdom, but as a quick and easy way to hijack a whole lot of computer power for profit.
And these guys moved fast. I mean, just days after the vulnerability was announced, they were already popping servers left and right to deploy XMRig, which is a really well-known crypto miner. See, they weren't interested in your data. They just wanted to steal your server's CPU cycles to mine cryptocurrency directly into their own wallets.
And their attack chain was just brutally simple and effective. They'd exploit the vulnerability, then download a script, and in one case we saw it was memorably named sex.sh. That script then pulls the XMRig miner directly from GitHub, and then, just like the spies, they set up a systemd service to make sure their miner survives a reboot and just keeps on making the money.
Okay, we've seen the attackers' playbooks. We know how they get in. Now for the most important part, your defense. Let's walk through the concrete steps you absolutely need to take to protect your systems and what to do if you think you've already been hit.
Your absolute #1 drop-everything-else priority is patching. There is no workaround for this. The vulnerable versions are right there on the screen. Your immediate goal is to get to a version that fixes the RCE, but honestly, you should patch all the way up to the latest release to protect against some of the follow-on bugs that were found. And please, remember to audit all your dependencies. This vulnerability might be hiding deep inside another package you didn't even know you were using.
Now, if you're worried you might already be compromised, here is your hunting guide. You're going to look for the exact same things the attackers created: suspicious hidden directories, processes that have been killed for no good reason. Check your shell config files like .bashrc for any weird commands that you didn't put there. And most importantly, watch your network logs. A web server should almost never be making outbound curl or wget requests to strange places on the internet. That's a huge red flag.
And to help with that hunt, here are some hard indicators of compromise, or IOCs. You can literally take this domain, this IP address, and these file hashes and plug them straight into your security tools to search for this exact activity. Think of this as your list of known bads.
And you have to remember, the story doesn't just end with React2Shell. The disclosure of a massive bug like this puts the code under a global microscope. And sure enough, 3 more CVEs were found in React shortly after. It's just a powerful reminder that security vigilance can never be a one-time thing.
Which really leaves us with one final critical question. We've seen espionage groups and cybercriminals weaponize this thing in just a matter of hours. We've seen the chaos, we've seen the calculated, stealthy attacks. So looking at this timeline, you really have to ask yourself, is your organization's security and incident response plan actually built for this kind of speed?